Good evening, Marshall Reddick investors, and thank you for joining us tonight for a very exciting webinar. We're going to be talking about multi-units and apartment buildings tonight on our presentation. We're going to hear from Christina Dorier in San Antonio. We're going to hear from Miss Terry Duffy and Ken Duffy in Southwest Florida, and of course myself, your host with the mostest, Kristen Tabar, and I'm going to be covering the LA and Orange County markets. All great opportunities for multifamily unit investments, great ways to increase your monthly income by having multiple properties and multiple tenants, and we're going to go ahead and jump right into the excitement. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time tonight, Marshall Reddick Real Estate is a full service real estate broker here in the California market. Our headquarters is here in Newport Beach and we have offices up the coast. We are a private money lender, so we offer our clients the opportunity not only to borrow money to acquire inventory, but also to lend money and be the bank. And we are also a property manager. So not only our California office, but also our Texas and Clarksville offices. We offer our clients a full service one-stop shop for all of our services that we provide in-house, in addition to all of our third-party vendors. So our clients really have the opportunity to work with one person and one team for the life of their investments. As I mentioned before, my name is Kristen Tabar. I am a real estate advisor here in California. I've helped my clients purchase property across the nation on 252 transactions and counting. I myself am a property owner. I own properties in several of our markets that we are currently working in, and that's my cute little family there, my son JT, my daughter Cassie, and my husband Jason. And they're the reasons why we are investing in real estate. My husband and I want to eventually build a portfolio where we don't have to work as hard and we get to spend more time with them. And we want to definitely help all of you guys out there with your investment needs so that you can reach your goals as well. So a little bit about me. I'm definitely open to sharing my experience and letting everybody know how we got started and what our plans are. So if you're interested, definitely reach out. I'm always happy to talk. You know, we all like to talk about ourselves, people. All right, so how does Marshall Reddick choose where we want to invest? There's some criteria on your screen. I'm not going to read all of them, but basically we want to look and we want to find well-rounded areas that provide strong education, strong economic diversity where there's lots of jobs, and we want the market itself to be profitable for our investors and ultimately give you guys a good experience and a good return. So these are the criteria that we are using when we're evaluating new markets, whether we're looking at hopping into a new area or reevaluating the areas that we're already in. We want to make sure that all of these criteria still apply. Here are our current markets. You can see that we are in 16 markets across the nation. As I mentioned, we're going to be focusing in on 4 of those this evening. We're going to talk about LA, Orange County in the California area, and then we're going to look at Fort Myers in Florida, and we're going to look at San Antonio, Texas. So here's just a quick snapshot. And as I mentioned before, all of these markets that you see are going to check the boxes from the slide that was previously shown. So we're constantly reevaluating these areas to ensure that we still like the performance and that we still want to encourage our investors to look in these areas as well. So let's start talking about what makes a multi-unit property a great investment. So first off, there's going to be less competition in a couple of different arenas. So first of all, single family homes are very competitive, not only for investors, but also for single family primary buyers. There's a lot of folks in every market that are looking to purchase their own homes. And so when you're an investor and you're looking at purchasing property, those single family homes are going to be a hot commodity, not only for other folks like yourselves who are investing, but also for people who actually want to move in and live there themselves. So there's less competition on a multi-unit property because you're generally going to be going up only against other investors. There's not a high volume of primary buyers that purchase duplex, triplex, or or fourplex units, simply because they're not interested in living in one of those units. They'd prefer single family homes. There's also a limited supply of multi-units in many markets. Some of our markets, for example, don't lend themselves very well to multifamily units, and primarily the good investments that you'll find there are going to be the single family homes. So in addition to that, it also is going to take a more experienced investor to evaluate a multi-unit, to learn how to manage, assess, and mitigate the risks and the advantages of owning a multi-unit property. As an investor myself, as I've mentioned previously, my husband and I do have a mixed portfolio, but moving forward, we're definitely looking more into the arena of multi-units and building our portfolio that way after starting with single family homes. So there's a definite progression there, and it makes sense for a lot of people to start moving into the multi-unit space at some point during their investment career. So let's talk about the economies of scale. As you get into properties that have more units, the price per square foot decreases, the cost per unit decreases, and typically you're going to see lower management fees. And all of these things kind of work together also to lend themselves to making those multi-unit properties great investments. We're going to see the appreciation over time. They're always very desirable. And in a lot of cases across many of our markets, we find that in some of the larger duplex units especially, a lot of families will opt to live in these units because the space feels comparable to a single family home. There's a yard, they're in nice areas, but the rent is considerably less. So they're able to find somewhere with the same amount of space in a great area where their kids can go to a great school, but not spending quite as much as they would on a single family rent. So again, just to kind of elaborate on some of those benefits of multi-units. So here's a few of the numbers that we look at when we're evaluating multi-unit properties. So a little bit different, also very similar to how we would evaluate a single family home. The big difference is going to be the cap rate. Cap rate doesn't necessarily apply to a single family home, but as you get up in units, it certainly does. And we're going to look at the cap rate using the annual net operating income and putting that over the cost or the value of the property. So when we look at the cap rate, that operating income, that net operating income is the rent from the units minus your fixed expenses. So moving on down to cash on cash return, this is a calculation that we'll also use for single family homes. A lot of you who are familiar with Marshall Reddick, who have either purchased property with us before or have been utilizing our website, know that this is a very popular return to look at for all types of properties. It's one of the kind of down and dirty ways to evaluate performance, if you will, because all it's going to be is your cash flow and the total amount that you invested. Skipping down to your ROI, your return on investment, this one is a little bit more in depth, covers a lot more numbers, and gives you a different perspective on the performance of your property. This is going to come from the profit from a sale and total cash invested by the number of years held. So where do those numbers come from? How do you figure out the total profit from a sale? Well, we're going to get into that, and we're going to look at each type of return individually. So here is a snapshot of what your cap rate is going to look like. So we use round numbers for easy math. I'm not going to read all of this for you. I'm assuming that if you're on tonight's webinar, you know how to read. But this is looking at a monthly income of about $8,000 times the number of months in the year, obviously 12, and we're going to use the equation that we saw on the last slide to arrive at a cap rate here of 10%, assuming that these numbers are fitting the property that we're talking about. Do keep in mind, generally speaking, for a cap rate, it's not considering your mortgage payment. So if there is a mortgage payment or any kind of loan servicing, that is going to count towards your expenses, not necessarily towards your cap rate. All right, so now we're going to jump into how to calculate profit from a sale, and this is going to relate to your ROI calculation. So we're going to look at your accumulated net cash flow, your appreciation and the equity gain from that, your equity gain from principal paydown, and finally your selling expenses. We estimate these at 9%, and what that is your real estate commissions, which is typically between about 5 and 6%, and then an additional 3% in your selling costs. So title, escrow, any kind of transfer fees, things to that nature that you will be responsible for as the seller when you sell a property. So all of those things together are going to equal your sales profit. You can see that nicely outlined here on the website as well. Cash flow, appreciation, principal paydown, and selling expenses will show you that total projected profit. So if we're looking at a property here, you can see also below that the cash on cash return, the return on investment, and the cap rate for the property in this example. And all of those are going to be very nicely outlined for you on the Marshall Ruddock website. And as you look down the right side of that financial calculator at the function, you can actually click on that when you're live, and it will drop down and show you the equation that was used to arrive at that number that you see. Very transparent. All right, so when we're looking at properties in general, we want to know what your personal investment criteria is, because a multi-unit may not be for everybody. A single family may not be for everybody. So your own personal wants and needs and goals are going to help us to determine what type of property suits you based on definitely these criteria that you see on your screen. So property type, definitely multi-unit, single family, whatever it is. And then if you've decided that you definitely want to go with a multi-unit, we're going to talk property class, price, condition, and then filter into some of the other details. So for some of you out there thinking, I'd like to buy a duplex, maybe some of these things you haven't considered, and it's definitely important. And when you have your consultation with your advisor, or if you're not working with anybody yet, when we connect after the webinar, we can definitely touch on these criteria and talk about what the differences is and how that affects each property individually. So I touched on property class. This is a quick snapshot of how to determine property class for any particular area, and a quick look at what types of tenants may live in your property depending on what that property class is. So as a rule of thumb, Marshall Ruddock tends to steer away from the luxury class and the D class property, so the high and the low ends of the spectrum. That's because generally when you get into a luxury class, you're spending so much to acquire the property, and the rent would have to be so high that it really kind of prices you out of being able to make a good return on that property. On the other end of the spectrum, in your D class, this is where we get into low income areas that have lower tenant quality, and oftentimes areas where our management teams will opt not to manage property because we want to stay away from those headaches, and we encourage our clients to stay away from those types of headaches as well. So we stick with the A, B, and C class as far as classes that we are promoting on our website that we encourage our clients to look at. You're going to see a little more cash flow in that C class property. The rent to purchase price ratio tends to be a little higher. Generally speaking, you're going to see blue collar hourly employees in that C class type of property or neighborhood. On the other side, your A class is going to lean more towards appreciation as far as the immediate gain on that property. We're looking at undergrad level type managers, white collar workers, people that maybe take a little bit more pride in their home and are going to treat that property more like it's theirs, even though it is in fact a rental. And then your B class is going to sit right in the middle. It's kind of a blend of tenants, young adults, high school graduates, lower level management. And these properties are going to lend themselves to both cash flow and appreciation. They tend to be in areas that are desirable, that people want to live in, and also have a ratio of rent to purchase price that makes the cash flow still very favorable. So down at the bottom, you'll also see when we're classifying properties, there's a few things that matter. Number one is the price point, and that's based off the median home price in that market. The cost per square foot, the school districts, and the crime rate in that particular order. Higher school district ratings, generally you're going to find in the A-class properties, and lower crime rates we're also going to see in the A-class neighborhoods as well. So moving right along, if you have questions on that, you can download the Reddick Property Rating ebook on our website. It's a free download, about a 20-minute read, and it really dives a little deeper into the methodology behind the ratings and how we arrive at that. So with any investment, you want to be able to assess and analyze your risk and see how that may or may not affect you financially. So let's hop into maintenance and vacancy. For a 1 to 4 unit property, we give 8, 10, and 13% respectively for A, B, and C class properties as far as an estimate for the amount of maintenance and vacancy you may experience. So the reason for the difference is because, generally speaking, as I mentioned, your A class tenant may be a little nicer to your property, may be less likely to require as much maintenance as the C class tenant, who may be a little rougher and may cost a little more on the maintenance side. So maintenance and vacancy are going to be a direct correlation with property class. As you can see with the 5 units and more, we lend a little bit more to maintenance simply because there's more tenants and more units, which can equal more in terms of maintenance over time. Vacancy is going to be similar. Again, the property class is going to determine what that turnover may be for your particular property. So what number do you currently use as a factor for future vacancy? A lot of my clients will go in and change it. For example, if the market they're looking at has a 3% vacancy rate, they'll go in and change our 8% to 3%. And that's totally fine. Everybody evaluates properties differently, and we have set up our financial calculator in such a way that you can go in and change those numbers depending on how you personally want to evaluate your properties. Here's a snapshot of what that looks like on the website. Again, you can see those boxes are editable. So this is assuming monthly rent on this property would be $2,100, and this is assuming vacancy and maintenance at 10%. So these are going to be your variable expenses. Variable expenses meaning that you're not going to experience this on a monthly basis, but you should definitely consider the very real possibility that at some point in the life of your investment, it will cost you this much money at some point in a month or 2 months or something along that line. Here's an example of vacancy for an A-class property. We're estimating 29 days a year of vacancy. So obviously you property owners out there know, or anyone who's ever rented, we are going to lease out properties on a 12-month term. So you are not going to experience a vacancy of 1 month per year, but at some point during the life of your investment, you will see a tenant turnover and you will need to place a new tenant. So we want you to account for that expense, and we want you to be prepared for those future expenses. Here's the Reddick Property Rating ebook that I referenced earlier. Again, that's a free download on our website and is going to break down the property classes in a little bit more detail than we just have this evening, and will allow you guys to dive a little deeper into that. All right, let's jump into some financing for multi-unit properties. You guys can see on your screen a little bit different requirement for a multi-unit. A 2 to 4 unit is going to require that minimum down payment of 25%. And the good news, though, is that previously, when you got up to your 7th property, that jumped to 30% for that 2 to 4 unit property. So the good news now is that that 25% down payment now extends all the way up to that 10th property that you purchase when you finance. The only difference is now your credit score does have to be a little higher. So it's great news for those of you who already own several properties. As you know, you do also have to have 6 months of reserves per property that you purchase when you're looking at investing in another property. So this really gives some people a little more flexibility. And as you're getting into these higher unit properties and higher purchase prices, that 5% in down payment can have a huge impact on the purchase price you're able to afford and also how much you need to bring to the table. So really exciting for our buyers who are in the multi-unit space who already have a portfolio going. Also good news for you folks out there who are just getting started to keep in mind that regardless of how many properties you've got financed, you're still going to be able to get away with that lower down payment. So all good stuff on the financing front. Okay, so why these markets? Why tonight are we going to hear from Christina in San Antonio and from Florida in Fort Myers? Well, again, you guys have some bullet points right here. This is going to relate back to one of the slides that we covered in the very beginning on how Marshall Ruddick as a company evaluates markets that we feel are good investment areas for our clients. So the great news about both San Antonio and Fort Myers is they're very strong economies, low cost of living, great inventory for investors, and the best part of all is that there is a great multi-unit space in both of these areas. There's a lot of multi-unit opportunity, and the prices on these properties, the income from these properties are also very strong. So it makes these two markets particularly outstanding when it comes to multi-unit investing. So first, we're going to dive into San Antonio. While you read the awesome stats on your screen, I'm going to go ahead and brag about San Antonio for a moment and our agent in the area. We're going to hear from Christina Doria. I'm going to bring her on in just a moment, but she's been with Marshall Ruddick for a couple of years now. We actually stole her from her previous brokerage because we just loved her so much and our clients really enjoyed working with her. She is an investor herself as well. Really a shark when it comes to negotiation. She's always, fighting for everything that our buyers want when it comes to making a purchase. We're always trying to get the best price and the best deal for our clients, and Christina has definitely proven to be our gal in the area. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to bring on Miss Christina Doria.
Thank you so much, Kristen. Thank you, everyone, for joining our webinar tonight. I wanted to basically introduce myself with Marshall Ruddick Real Estate locally in San Antonio as a licensed Texas realtor. I've lived in San Antonio all my life, and I am married. My husband's military, Air Force, and we have two amazing kids. They keep us very busy. But I am a full-time realtor, working mainly with investor clients like yourself, brand new to the business. Like if you're the first time investing or seasoned, I definitely can help you with that. So let me go to the next slide showing the property classes here. This is one of my favorite slides because it shows a trend of San Antonio as far as appreciation goes. And the appreciation definitely has been there over the years, and we've been very conservative with our appreciation. You don't see a lot of vitality with spikes going up or spikes going down. It's always been a steady, slow, conservative increase. And if you look back in like 2009, 2010, 2011, when other parts of the country were hit really hard during that time because of the mortgage crisis, it barely affected San Antonio. It was like less than 3% dip. So that really didn't affect our values that much. And, we were actually short supply of rental properties, people looking to rent because they made it harder to get approved for a mortgage. But that just shows you what a safe market San Antonio is. And this is going into the website, our Marshall Reddick website, /San Antonio. That's where it's going to be the ebook that you can actually, download and look up. It's constantly updated, so you're not having to go to different websites and trying to find different data about San Antonio. This is all compiled in one section, all in your fingertips on our Marshall Reddick website in the learning section. In this, it's a book. It shows everything about San Antonio you're going to need to know. All the demographics, the economics, the jobs, population, and everything. Very useful, and again, it's constantly updated for you. Now I'm going to go ahead and start presenting our properties. So these are hand-selected multifamily properties that I selected that are actually available on the market right now. And I'm going to go by each of them with you. And I'm really excited because these are really good properties that we actually currently manage. So the first ones are the duplexes in this community. It's a brand new community. It's in New Braunfels, which is located in between Austin and San Antonio. So it's literally about 15 minutes outside of San Antonio. You would never know you drove outside of San Antonio because there's so many businesses right off the major highway, and you're already in New Braunfels and you're like, oh, I didn't realize I left San Antonio, because it all blends together. The two cities just blend in together with so many businesses, so many homes, apartments, duplexes. But this is a really good area because you get to benefit of getting a lot of the tenants that work in northeast side of San Antonio, because we got the two military bases on that side of town. And then we get a lot of tenants that work in South Austin, downtown Austin, and that live in New Braunfels because it's almost halfway in between. But diving deep into this property itself, they're brand new duplexes. They are just being completed. We already have like 4 streets completed where, people are already living there. So it's not a very big community. It's a community of about 6 streets altogether, and half of this neighborhood's already completed. So, when you first drive into the neighborhood, that's the completed part. It's the back part where that backs up to the cul-de-sac in the green belt that they're finishing off, which is nice. So there's I'd say about 10 to 12 of these duplexes left available for sale. They're all the same floor plan, same layout, same colors, everything. And the same price. It's for $379,900, and they're, to combine both units, are like 2,744 square feet. But when you separate it, it's a little over 1,300 square feet each unit. And these all of these come with a builder warranty. So all the appliances are going to be covered for the first year. And then the builder warranty breaks out each, thing that's covered, like the roof, it's like covered for 25 years. Electrical will be like 5 years, plumbing. So there's different things that are broken down, which we can send that to you individually. And then, so the fact that these are brand new, a lot of people like being the first to live in brand new properties. So they do rent out quite quickly. The vacancy rate is a low vacancy rate out here. And these are Class A properties. So there's not many duplexes that look like homes. So these duplexes, when you walk in them, they actually feel like you're in an actual home, like a single family home. It doesn't feel like a duplex. They are separated with one wall, and they both have the 2-car garages attached. So that's another good selling point. Not many duplexes have 2-car garages. Most of them are just 1 car. So these are the 2-car garages, has a long driveway. They have the garage door openers. These are made for investors. So there's no carpet in any of the bedrooms at all. No carpet. It's all concrete stained flooring, which is very nice and sleek looking. Very hard to mess up. And then the granite countertops. The kitchen is very contemporary. They have high ceilings, recessed lighting, which looks very new, and it's all contemporary looking with the granite countertops, deep kitchen sinks. It comes with all the appliances. So these are very nice duplexes for right under $380,000. Brand new, comes with the builder warranty, and the school district is excellent in this area. It blends into a brand new single family home. neighborhood that's right next to this community. And these single family homes are like in the 250 up to $350,000 price range, which is the higher end homes in San Antonio. So it's a good schools and it's easy access to the highway. It's not near the highway. You can't see or hear the highway from it, but it only takes like 7 minutes to get to the highway. So easy access, and it's a great location. So everything's broken down on the right hand side as far as your cash flow. Each unit rents out for $1,450 a month, so $1,450 a month for each unit. And after everything's paid off, also the tenants are responsible to pay for their own electric and water bill. There's no you don't have to pay for the utilities. It's on the tenant's lease that they have to pay for their own utilities. So after all fixed expenses, you're left over with an annual income of over $5,000. It's $5,433 a year annual income, and that's after expenses. So there's an annual ROI rate of interest return of over 17%, and that's a 15-year, assuming the rents will never increase. The rents will increase each year. We tend to increase the rent because that's we base it off the market comparables. So that's a very conservative ROI number. Keep in mind we will raise rent, so that's just a conservative number. But that's a great property. We manage that whole community as well. And this is going to be an older property, but it's a very low price. It's priced at $475,000. It's a fourplex, so it's not a duplex. It's a fourplex. It's a nice community. It's an established neighborhood near the medical center, which is the northwest side of San Antonio. A very busy, high demand area. We have no problems renting out in this area because it's such a busy, high demand area. It's close to so many businesses. It's easy access to the highway, literally 4 minutes away from the highway, close to one of our major shopping malls, Ingram Park Shopping Mall. It's like 10 minutes away from there. And it's literally like 5 minutes away from the medical center. So this is a very high demand location. Even though this was built in 1986, there's been a lot of renovations. The current owner has been maintaining this property. So the roof isn't that old. It's about, actually they just, are replacing the roof before closing. So that was one of the things that they disclosed, the sellers replacing the roof before closing. So this will have a brand new roof. All the AC units have been maintained. The owner gets them, maintained every year, serviced and cleaned. And then the property itself has been very well maintained. But of course, I always recommend you get a home inspection, and anything noted on the home inspection that's negotiable during your contingency period, of course. But this is a very good property at $475,000. Each unit is exactly the same layout. So all of them are going to be 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath. So there's a half restroom downstairs. They're all like 2-story townhome type units. So you walk in, you have the living area with a fireplace, and it has the kitchen all on the first floor with a half restroom downstairs, which is really nice looking. And then you go upstairs to the 2 bedrooms. It's roommate style. So they're like 2 bedrooms, and in between the 2 bedrooms, there's going to be a hallway and then a bathroom that is in the middle, like Jack and Jill style. But each restroom or each bedroom has their own like mirror and separated from the actual bath area, which is nice. And they have their own walk-in closet, very spacious. So it's a very nice apartment 4-unit property. And this is not by itself. There are other 4 units in this community, probably about, I would say, a total of 8 of these apartments that are all within the same time frame when they were built in the 80s. It's just that they are all, there's none for sale. This is the only one for sale at this time. And it's not going to last long, but it's located in a very good neighborhood with lots of, easy access to the highways and good schools. So after all the fixed expenses, you're going to come out with an annual income of over 8,000 a year. That's after all fixed expenses, including taxes, insurance, your mortgage payment. There's no HOA in this location, and all the tenants pay for their own utilities, their water and their electric. So, the only thing is landscaping, your mortgage payment, taxes, insurance, all of that after all your fixed expenses, you're going to come out with over 8,000 a year. Great property. Let's go on to the next one. Now, this is more of an urban style property, and it was built in 2004. So they made it real urban style to the area that it's located at. It's located close to downtown. It's not downtown, but it's really close to downtown. It's closer to what we call the Pearl District area, which is in the past 10 years has grown. They've renovated that area, put like nice restaurants, hip shopping. So there's a lot of young professionals that are young couples or singles that are living in this area because it's close to where everything's walking distance, easy access to get to downtown, 5 minutes from downtown. So you'll have people bike to downtown or use their Razor scooters or whatever, the electronic scooters. I see them all over. They have their little mopeds, but they're young professionals or singles that live in this area. It is close to downtown, so again, you're gonna have those people that work downtown or that live in that area that want to be in that area. And when you look inside these units, they're really nice. They have high ceilings. It almost looks like a warehouse, but it's not. It's got that track lighting that comes down. Got the very upscale kitchen. It's very nice looking. It does come with all the appliances as well, including the refrigerator. Each unit is exactly the same floor plan. This is, again, built in 2004, and it's a very great property for a little over $646,000. So after all fixed expenses broken down, you're looking at an annual income of $9,368 a year. So $9,368 a year annual income, that's cash flow after all fixed expenses, and a 15-year ROI of 16.36%, which is, again, a very conservative number because it's not taking in consideration the rent increases over the years. And then the next property I want to present is going to be an 8-plex. So this is it turns into commercial because once you go over 4 units, it goes into commercial. So those are very hard to find that are in good condition. Keep in mind there's not many for sale in San Antonio. The ones I see a lot of are the ones you're going to see on LoopNet that are very bad part of town. I don't recommend, so the ones that are on our website are the ones that I recommend that our management team would not mind managing. So this is an 8-unit apartment building. All units are exactly the same. They are 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath, for each unit, and it comes out to $775,000 for the 8-plex. So this is what you can get, a nice 8-plex for $775,000, and it was built in 1985, but it's very well maintained. It's located in a good part of San Antonio. It's the northeast side of San Antonio. It's a suburb called Converse. There's just so many businesses in this area, so much restaurants, easy access to the major highways, and then the 2 military bases makes this location a high demand location. Very, very low vacancy rate. A lot of these tenants tend to stay long term, like we're talking 5 years plus. So after all your fixed expenses, your your annual income, it would be $17,732 a year. This is really good cash flow. And then the 15-year ROI is at a little over 14%, but keep in mind it's not taking into consideration the increased rent increases that we're going to be doing, each year or throughout the future. So just keep that in mind. This is a very conservative amount. They have the balconies or the patios, and there's plenty of parking. It's not reserved, it's not covered, but there's plenty of parking. And there's lots of mature trees in this area too, so it looks really, really nice.
Thank you, Christina,
Yep.
so much for your in-depth explanation on the properties and for going through so much detail. It's really appreciated on our end and gives the clients a great kind of overview of the properties. Again, like Christina mentioned, if any of these properties interest you or you'd like more information, you're interested in finding out some more detail, you can definitely let us know. And of course, if you've been working with a Marshall Reddick advisor, you can always reach out to your advisor and they will connect you with the correct parties as well. We all are a team and we all work together. We want to make sure that your interests are covered and that we are getting everybody everything they need. So Christina, again, I want to thank you so much for your time and for going through the properties. And without further ado, we're going to jump right into our next area. And that's going to be the Fort Myers market in Florida, which is going to also cover Cape Coral and Lehigh Acres. And while you read these bullet points on your screen, I'm going to talk a little bit about Terry and Ken, our agents in the area. Terry's been working exclusively with Marshall Reddick clients since 2005. She lives and breathes investment property. She's our buyer's agent for all of our clients in the market. She also is the agent that will help you sell your property. A lot of our clients will sell and do exchanges. Specifically for the reason we're talking tonight, they'll sell their single family or duplex units to get into something that's a little bit larger. So Terry is also a negotiation shark. She will get her hands dirty, if you will, fighting for our clients to get you guys the best deals. And without stealing any of her thunder, I'll let her talk about herself a little bit as well. And it's my pleasure to introduce Miss Terry Duffy.
Okay, hello everyone. Ken and I are both here. Ken's going to do most of the presentation, but this is just a photo of us and all my contact information. So take that down so you'll have that for future if you're interested in purchasing in our area. We've been with the Marshall Reddick Group since 2004, so a very long time. Both Ken and I are both licensed realtors. I do most of the I do all the contracts with you guys and all the communication and stuff like that. But Ken's kind of got the boots on the ground because he's got a construction background. So he goes to the inspections with me and does all the touring. And he's a fireman in North Naples. So he has a real good intake of anything new that's coming out of the ground and development in our area.
Hey, everybody. How's it going? We could probably go to the next slide. So just a kind of a brief overview. I want to thank everybody for coming to the webinar. Just a brief shout of what's going on down in South Florida. Our market is continuing to expand quite rapidly now. We've got a lot of big projects going on. We've got the airport expansion, control tower, diverse runways are going in. They're expanding on the terminal. But Southwest Florida is the MSA that we've been selling in since 2004, like Terry said, Fort Myers, Cape Coral, and Lehigh. We are on the west coast of Florida. Florida is number 3 in the nation now. We are stealing everybody from the north. Basically all parts of the United States are moving down to Florida. Average population growth every year is between 320,000 to 360,000 residents permanently moving into the state of Florida. Roughly, that's about 900 Floridians landing down in South Florida. Large portion of those people are coming to us. We are south of Tampa, about 2 hours, and we are about 2 hours west of Miami. So this is the MSA as a zoomed in shot. Cape Coral is shaded in yellow. Lehigh Acres is to the right of the screen, upper right-hand corner. Both areas are between, Cape Coral is about 119 square miles and Lehigh Acres is 97 square miles. Two different types of areas. They are all growing quite rapidly. Cape Coral is exploding right now. Just today's meeting I had, we had an overview of what's going on. $700 million worth of commercial real estate permits are on the ground now for Cape Coral. We've got everything from car dealerships to Lowe's, a Costco, and a Sam's Club are being built in Cape Coral in the western part, where we're seeing a lot of new residential units go in. Majority of the people, investors out of Cape Coral, or that are buying in Cape Coral are going into the duplexes. The cash flow, cash on cash is very good. Terry can talk to you guys more about that. Then you got south of Cape Coral, you got Sanibel Island, city of Fort Myers, and the airport, and then you've got Estero, Bonita Springs. So this area, we have lived here since 2001, and we've seen nothing but just steady, continual growth. The population of Lee County right now is just under 1 million. So we get a very diverse population growth spurt right after Thanksgiving. They're called snowbirds. Our population grows to about 1.4 million from about 700,000. So a lot of good stuff happens then. A lot of money just gets poured into our economy. A lot of people come down, they start buying houses. They start renting places to come down to and spend 6 months out of the year while it's snowing up north. So Lee County is kind of unique out of a lot of MSAs that Marshall Reddick is in. We kind of like to think that we are the most diverse because we are surrounded by water, and when you're surrounded by water, property values continue to grow. We have a detailed market data packet you can find on the Marshall Reddick website. If you guys, what you need to do is, if you're interested in the market, if you're interested in seeing what we have to offer, Terry is on the website every day. She puts properties under contract, and she adds new properties to the Marshall Reddick website every day. So go to marshallreddick.com. You can read a little bit more detailed data. Of course, the best thing to do is buy some plane tickets and come down, and we'll show you around and make the decision to come down here. But Marshall Reddick has been, like I said, doing very good in this area for the last 10 years. And then I'll just kick it over to Terry to go over some of the properties we've got.
These are just a few properties that we put on here so you can kind of get an idea of what we've got. And there's several more on the website. Obviously, we don't have time to go through all of them. And there's also a lot more photos of each property on the website. But this is it's an older duplex in Cape Coral, but it's been completely remodeled. So if you go through the photos, you'll see the inside and how nice it looks. It's got a lot of new stuff. You know, the roof is only 2016, which helps with the insurance. All down here, if you read this print down here, this is really important because this area here is where I describe as much as I can fit in this little space on what the property has inside of it. It's on city utilities. We have the two areas we deal with mostly are Cape Coral and Lehigh Acres. Cape Coral in the south, any part of the south, most of that stuff is on city utilities. Whereas in the north, you'll get into, they're still on well and septic, and Lehigh Acres is almost all completely on well and septic. It's not a bad thing, but I found that a lot of times if people just don't understand what it is if you've never lived on well and septic. So, but you can Google that. There's a lot of information on that. In the Cape Coral market, though, if they're on city utilities, they're normally a higher price market. Everything in the south is normally a higher price market because that area is closer to the bridges that come over to the Fort Myers area. Anything that has to do with nightlife activities is in the south. More of the schools are in the south and stuff like that. So then you can just go down to here. Here's the listing price, down payment. This initial repair cost, that is just something that I guesstimate when I first look at the photos. So we don't know what the repair cost is going to be until we actually get under contract and have an inspection done. And then obviously if there's anything major that comes upon an inspection, we take it back to the seller and I try to get as much out of them as I possibly can. And then this is just estimations from Marshall Reddick, how they calculate their numbers. The rents I get, so you know those are correct. These taxes, I get the taxes off of just a tax estimator that is on the Lee County website also. The insurance, I get the insurance from the insurance company that we use. You can use whoever you want, but I have a guy down here who's just always seems to give me the best rates. And so I send the properties to him ahead of time so he can send the insurance back to me. It's not going to be exact because a lot of it has to do with your credit rating and your age. So once you get in, and once again, once you're under contract, I connect you directly with the insurance person, and then he can get all your information and get you the exact quote. We don't do anything that has HOA fees because that takes a cut out of your profits. The landscaping, most duplexes, the landscaping, the lawn mowing, all that stuff is done by the owners to make sure the property is kept up nice. If you leave it to the tenants, you know, you don't know what your property is going to look like. And also duplexes, some of them don't have garages, so they don't really have any place to store a lawnmower or lawn equipment. So you can just kind of go down here, this estimated the annual income. 8%, they go this for the rents. Vacancy, our vacancy rate in our area is much lower than this. I think 8%, the Marshall Reddick gets kind of an overview of several states combined throughout the United States, but our vacancy rate is just under 4%, and it has been under 4% for the past 5 years. So this is just kind of give you an idea here. The annual ROI would be, 18.37%. So real strong. This is a new build duplex in Cape Coral. These are such a hot commodity because they're under warranty, obviously with the builder's warranty for the first year. They have, no to very low maintenance, which increases your profits. And they're going up like crazy all over Cape Coral. They can't seem to build enough of them because the demand is so high. Most of our properties are completely rented within 30 days of closing. So, not much to say about this. It's just, they're brand new. Everything in it's brand new. Normally the brand new ones get $12.95 rent per unit. So same thing. You just kind of go down here. The insurance is much lower. You can see that just because it's new. And your ROI on this one's about 16.21%. But the annual income, that's the stuff that you want to look at right there. This is a triplex in Cape Coral. It is the only triplex that is on the market right now. The triplexes and quads are very hard to come by because when people own them, they hang on to them because they make them money, obviously. But the same thing, just go down, you read this here. They're all, each unit is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, nice inside. You can go and look at the photos. This one actually has a garage for each of these units, which is rarely seen on a triplex. They normally don't have any garages. They just have open parking, in the front. And this has both. So that's a big plus on this also. These are right now, one of them is leased at $1,100 a month, and one's at $1,000 a month, and one's at $1,075, which usually has to do with when the leases were put into place or how long the tenants have been there. All of them obviously could be raised to $1,100 once the renewal dates come up. So, but if you want something a little bigger, this is kind of a basic duplex in Lehigh Acre. This one does not have garages, and I picked this one to show because it's older also, but it's been completely remodeled. I think one side's rented and one side is ready for a new tenant. They left it vacant for showings, but once again, just go look at the photos on this. This is one of the lowest priced duplexes in Lehigh Acres right now. Most of them are listed in the 230s all the way up to $299 if they're brand new in Lehigh. Lehigh Acres is a kind of a bed and breakfast area. It's very popular because it's the least expensive area to live in, and it's growing by leaps and bounds. There's so much stuff going up, not only residential but also commercial all around it. So a lot of people, we get a lot of first-time buyers in Lehigh. We get first-time renters in Lehigh. We get retired people that go to Lehigh because their pensions go further. So it's a little bit, if this one in Cape Coral would probably be, $329 or something. But the rents are a little bit lower, but the price is a lot lower. And these are on the well and septic, so you'll have a little bit of maintenance on that. The septic system has to be, pumped out at least once every 2 years, and it's got some salt maintenance that has to be taken care of also. So it just kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of the different types of properties. But the multi-units are like I said, they're the hottest commodity going. We can't seem to have enough of them to go around for people, and they rent real fast.
All right, thank you so much, Ken and Terry, for your overview on the market, and Terry for presenting these properties. Like Terry mentioned, everyone, this is a real small sample of what's actually available in the Cape Coral and Lehigh Acres area. It's one of our strongest multi-unit markets, and there's so many great opportunities there. As Ken mentioned earlier, Terry's on the website daily, updating statuses, making sure that properties that are available are posted there. And these are all properties that Terry hand selects. So she's scouring the MLS, looking for the best properties that are in good neighborhoods that will rent well, that our management team will be able to get tenants in very quickly. So she really does go above and beyond to make sure that everything on the website is reflective of what's available and would make a great investment in the market. So again, Terry and Ken, it's always a pleasure. As one of my favorite teams to work with, I always love to do presentations with you guys, and thank you very much for being on with us tonight.
Right,
Thanks,
guys,
Kristen. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Now we're going to switch gears a little bit and we're going to come back home. We're going to talk about LA and Orange County and take a look at a couple of properties here in our local market for your viewing pleasure. So first we're going to start with the snapshot of appreciation over the years. So this is going to back to 1994 and go through 2018. LA is a little bit more up and down than San Antonio. A little bit more volatility in the market, but you know what? It doesn't stop anyone from wanting to be here and wanting to own property here. It's a great area. Great opportunity for growth and expansion. And as you can see, the trend line is still up. So despite the crash in 2008, you can see that we've steadily made progress and increased in our value, and we're basically back to where we were before. So median home price as of 2018 was $590,000, and that's going to be for a single family home. So a little bit different when we're evaluating multi-units, and you can see that bar down below. So, but keep in mind that, again, these are going to be per unit, and we'll be able to apply that to the property class as well. So moving right along, here's an overview of the LA market, and this comes straight from Zillow. This is updated just yesterday, so the information is as current as one could get. So as we see here, we have a home median listing price of $859 and a median sales price of $722. So a little different than in the previous slide, but that also gives you some real-time info on how the market has changed over the last 2 years and what we anticipate continuing to see. So you can see that we're forecasting in 2020 for those prices to continue to creep up a little bit and for LA to continue to be a great market for appreciating assets. Here's a little snapshot of the days on market. And again, this comes straight from Zillow, just recently as yesterday. And you can see here that it's kind of up and down, but the trend remains the same. Seasonally, sometimes properties sit on the market for a little bit longer. Also, price point has a lot to do with how long a property will be on the market. A lot of my clients will send me properties and say, hey, what's wrong with this? It's been on the market for 90 days. Well, maybe nothing's wrong with it, but the seller just has it overpriced, and that's why it's sitting for longer. So there's different reasons that properties are on the market longer. Generally speaking, multi-unit properties don't come up for sale as often as single family properties, so they do tend to move a little bit more quickly. In LA, we're looking at an average of about 70 days on the market. So let's look at a multi-unit property here. This is located in Hawaiian Gardens, so LA County, a little east of Los Angeles itself, a little bit inland, but a nice area. If you guys have ever been there, there's a couple casinos. This is a solid B-class property built in 1988, so a little newer when it comes to real estate and the age of real estate. It's a fourplex. It's 100% occupied, and the list price here, this is the biggest difference really between California and some of our other out-of-state markets, is those list prices. Inventory is significantly more expensive when we're looking here in California. This purchase price is 1.4. We did a 30% down payment. These units have all been remodeled, so that initial repair cost there is my estimate for any, initial work that you may want to do purchasing this property. If the units are occupied, you're not going to do any cosmetic work until that tenant turns over. But this property is, and when you look at the photos, it is very good condition. And has been recently updated. So very pretty on the inside. I really liked this property because even though there are some expenses for the owner, in addition to your mortgage, taxes, and insurance, the utility bill is going to, some of the utilities, and that's going to include trash and water. This property has a couple of shared meters. But after your fixed expenses, the monthly income on this property still just caps $900 a month, which is really, really exciting for a California property. It's not often that we see properties cash flow positively because the holding costs can be very, very high. So this was really exciting for me to see this property come in positive on the monthly income. And then this is a B-class property. So as we touched on a little earlier, we're going to estimate the maintenance and we're going to estimate the vacancy at 10% of the monthly rental amount. So that coupled with the leasing fee, which is 50% of 1 month's rent, we estimate that over 18 months is going to put our estimated variable cash flow down into that negative number. However, we do know that this property is occupied. The tenants have been long-term, to my knowledge. And if there is no turnover and the maintenance is low, then we can expect that number, that estimated cash flow after the variables, to be higher than that. So good news on that. Your 15-year projected profit is $739,000. So again, that's going to take into consideration all the money you make, all the expenses you've had for selling, and the equity gain from appreciation and principal pay down. So that number is significantly higher than we'll see in some of the other areas as well. So again, just a couple of benefits of California real estate. And your 15-year ROI is also still going to be very favorable at 11.29%. So here's a Los Angeles County multi-unit for you guys. If you're interested, of course, let me know and I'm happy to give you some more information. All right, so let's shift gears and come south a little bit to Orange County. As an Orange County native myself, I'm very excited to cover this part of the presentation. Lots of good stuff in Orange County, lots of amazing properties. Again, not as many go up for sale. Once people own these multi-unit properties, they tend to hold them. So when they do come up for sale, they do tend to move very quickly. And there's a big pool of buyers out there looking for California real estate, whether it's because they want to stay in their own backyard, as they say, they want to keep their properties local, or they're inheriting property from family and want to continue to grow that portfolio here locally. So a little different picture in Orange County than Los Angeles. We did have a bit of a crash in 2008. But as you can see, what's great about the Orange County market is that the area has rebounded and we've actually come back to exceed where the median price was back in 2005 and 2006. So the trend also continues to be up. You can see the single family median home price here is $820. And for the multi-units, you'll see that around $574 per unit is going to put you on that AB border there. So we're going to take a look at a couple of Orange County multi-unit properties as well after we do a quick overview of the Orange County market. So you can see the median sales price here is at $719 per Zillow. We're looking at a home value index from Zillow of 737, so slightly lower than it looks like the previous slide was showing us. I'll always like to give the disclaimer, Zillow is not always the most accurate website, but for our purposes, we love the graphs and we love to see what they're doing. And a lot of our clients like to use Zillow as a reference. So as you can see, even on Zillow's numbers, huge upswing from 2014 to 2018. And then we kind of start to stabilize. So what's been happening in my experience, what I've seen in the Orange County area is since we have rebounded so well and so strongly since the crash in 2008, we're beginning to see those prices stabilize at a place that's maintained and sustainable for the market. We can't continue in an area like this to see the same kind of growth and appreciation year over year, because then everybody in the market gets priced out and nobody can afford anything, whether it's buyers or renters. The market has to be affordable and maintainable. So the good news is we're not seeing the prices fall dramatically, but the better news is we are seeing them stabilize so that it's more sustainable, and it'll help us definitely keep the volatility in the area down. So average days on market in Orange County, very similar to LA at 74. And you can see the same kind of trends. The upswing and downswing, and that's just at different seasons of the year. It's definitely a difference in days on market depending on if you're listing in March versus if you're listing in October. And we still seem to see an average of about 74 days. So again, with the multifamily, sometimes that can be a little bit less simply because there's not a lot on the market and they tend to move very quickly when they do become available. So let's look at an Orange County property. This is 3036 Fillmore Way. This is a triplex in Costa Mesa. B class, built in 1963. So a little bit older property, may need a little bit more work as far as cosmetic items and some initial kind of fix up. But what I really love about this property is the location. Those of you who are familiar with Orange County and the Costa Mesa area know that this particular location is walkable to the assigned elementary school, very close to the John Wayne Airport. It's close to several freeway on-ramps without being so close that you can actually hear any noise. And of course, South Coast Plaza, which people travel from out of the country all the time to come in and shop at that particular mall. So the location for this property is really what makes this one stand out. This is a solid B class, good school ratings. And in addition, the numbers do look very good as well. So again, your 15-year ROI here, 10.19%. This one does have a purchase price of 1.18. We did a 30% down payment, and then you can go down and see the expenses. This one has a little bit more out-of-pocket expense for the owner. There is, per the listing, the owner does take care of the landscaping, so they have a gardener come over once a month for 50 bucks. And there are shared meters that will fall on the responsibility of the owner as well. This property is 100% occupied and has a monthly income on the negative side at $541. But when you hold a property like this for an extended period of time, the appreciation again and the principal pay down gives you that equity build. And as Christina mentioned in her portion, this is not taking into consideration any rental increases that may take place over the course of the next 15 years. And what I did do specifically is look for properties that were not in rent control areas. So a property like this one would not limit you to the amount or whether or not you are able to increase the rents. All right, so let's switch gears to another property here. We're still in Orange County, but we're a little south of Costa Mesa now in Laguna Beach. This one is much closer to the sand than Costa Mesa is. Costa Mesa is Newport Beach's neighbor, but definitely not quite as close as this property is. This is a great A-class duplex. It's 2 units. You can see there's one up above, one down below. There's garages on this unit, which is not common, especially in Laguna, for these multi-unit properties. Oftentimes you see covered or assigned parking. So the fact that there are garages for this one, I thought was really cool. We do have, again, another list price of 1.195. So you can see the purchase prices in the California area are definitely significantly higher than what we saw presented by Christina and what we saw presented by Terry. So different market, different pool of buyers, but equally favorable if this is something that you're looking for. So here again, the utilities, much less in terms of the owner's responsibility at only about $29 per month. And that's only going to cover, as I said, any metering or trash that's shared. So your monthly income here again is also going to be negative, but your projected profit over the course of 15 years, that's what we want to look at. We want to look at what the projection is when we hold this property for a significant amount of time. So we're looking at a 9.8% return on investment, a 15-year projected profit of 554, and really a property here that will increase in value. Beach property is always desirable, very easy to rent, and is definitely something that a lot of people are aspiring to own, whether it be their primary or whether it be a rental. So you can never go wrong with beach property. And it continues to increase in value, especially down in these areas, because there's nowhere there's nowhere to build, there's nowhere else to go. These properties are always, as I said, extremely sought after, and the only way to get into a property like this is to snag it when it becomes available. They don't come up for sale very often, so when they do, again, they're very hot commodities. So another quick shot of this Laguna Beach duplex here for you guys. I want to skip now to scheduling a consultation and what that looks like. So a lot of our clients find it very helpful to get on the phone with their advisor, and if you don't have one yet, I'm taking applications. Just kidding. But if you don't have an advisor that you're working with yet, we can connect after the webinar when you've had a chance to kind of go through your notes, and we can schedule a time to connect. Our clients love the idea that they get to speak with somebody and talk about their goals, talk about what they want to do, and have that person help and mentor them so that you can get a good idea of what your next steps are, what you need to do, what markets are good for you, and really help you evaluate those options without pushing a property on you or being pushy salespeople. So that's what my role is as an advisor, is to really get to know my clients, find out what you're looking for, find out what your own personal real estate goals are, and help you to achieve those goals and help you to build a portfolio that ultimately will get you to where you want to be. So why is that important? Well, because you want to build a scalable portfolio, and we do that with a plan and a strategy, and we can create a roadmap for how often you'd like to purchase property, what types of inventory you're interested in, what markets, how many different markets you'd like to buy in. So this is actually my investment portfolio. And this has been a 13-year endeavor. Yes, folks, 13 years. One property does not make you a millionaire, and you're not going to build a successful portfolio overnight. It takes time, and it takes dedication, and it takes somebody helping you to get through the steps, keep you accountable and make sure that they're helping you to achieve your goals. So as I mentioned, my husband and I are working to build a portfolio that allows us to do our day jobs a little less and spend a little bit more time with family. And my goal, as I mentioned earlier, is to help all of my clients to build the same type of portfolio that allows them to do less of the things that they don't want to do and more of the things that they do. So if you'd like to schedule a consultation, or if you have questions about anything that you saw tonight, would like more information on any of the properties, or would like to be connected to learn more about financing, you'd like to be connected with Terry or Christina, I'm your gal. You can reach me at my email, ctavar@marshallreddick.com. You can also reach me via telephone, and that is my cell phone number that you see. So if you're not a cold caller and you'd prefer to text me and arrange a time for us to chat, your text will be received at that number as well. So you can request a consultation on the website, or you can reach out to me directly. And I'm always really excited to speak with new or return clients. And keep in mind that your consultation is free. So if we speak and you decide that maybe real estate investing isn't for you, totally fine. We'll still be friends at the grocery store, and that'll allow you to at least have the conversation, get some info about what real estate investing looks like, and be able to make a good decision for whether or not it fits for you. For those of you who are really excited about what you heard tonight and you'd like to speak with me, please do reach out, and I look forward to speaking with all of you. I'll leave this up for you guys. Thank you again very, very much for joining us tonight. It was my pleasure to present tonight alongside two of my favorite agents, Miss Christina Dorier and Miss Terry Duffy. Really appreciate you ladies. It's been a really excellent presentation with some really great properties, and I look forward to following up as well with all of our clients so that we can make sure you guys get everything you need. Thank you so much, and have a great night.